Okay, so I want to go and show you how some of these chucks work. Some of them, if you've used any of the Festools, will be pretty obvious, but then the depth set one, not everybody has tinkered with that. So, a few other things I needed to mention. The kit that I bought also came with this bit extender. It takes wire detent hex bit driver bits on the end, so in a sense you can just mount it in your regular Centrotec chuck, and then you can put regular driver bits in there with some extension. So that's handy. There's a better one called the BHS 65, and that would be this one here. That's an accessory. Again, Centrotec chuck, but then this one here you actually have to, while this one is strong, it tends to just be a magnet. This one here has, when you pull it back, the wire will retract, and then when it goes forward, you can't for your life take it out. So this one here is a much, to me, a much better bit extender than the one that comes with it, but you certainly won't go wrong with this one. One of the other bits that drill bits that I purchased that I really like is this countersinking bit. I use this almost all the time exclusively for my number 8s and number 10 screws. Sometimes with the number 10s, just got to loosen it up a little after. So the beauty of this is that it has the countersink blades there that you can see. The bit itself, you can extend the range of the bit if you need it to come, if the drill bit needs to come out further, and of course that would mean it's replaceable too if you just go and buy the regular. I believe this one here is the 3.5 millimeter bit. But this head is the depth stop, and you can adjust how far it goes before the chamfer stops. The beauty of it is that as soon as it hits the wood, it stops turning, even though this keeps going. So you're not going to mar the wood with something spinning around, leaving a circle. So it's a really, really nice, it's not cheap, not cheap at all, but I use this one here all the time. It's actually a very aggressive drill bit. It goes very quickly and makes a very clean hole. So let me show you how a couple of these chucks work to make a few holes in this highly exotic piece of Riffson 2x4. And then I'll show you how the driver bits work, and especially the depth set chuck. So let's go ahead and put this puppy on C12, and I can put it in speed 2 for drilling. You want it to be a little faster than the slower speed, but then just so it doesn't come any cleaner than that. So let me take that out. Now, let me show you how we can use, we'll pop this on, the 90-degree bit. Let's see. Let me do it this way here so that it'll be very obvious on the film camera. Film, where does film come from? There's no film involved in this whatsoever. Alright, we're going to drill some holes in this. So, pretending there's a wall there, you could let me move that over. Very nice and clean. Okay, now we're going to use the eccentric chuck. Let me pop that on. It goes on the same way as the 90-degree. Now, you can drill with this chuck. The one thing that's a catch is that it doesn't seem to, at least on my drill bit, it doesn't seem to really grab the wire detent very strongly on this one at all. So many times when I go and drill a hole using this, which I don't do that too often, usually I have all those pre-drilled before I'd go pop the cabinet up, is I'll switch it into reverse to back out the drill. So it'll help me pull it back out. What it's really strong for are like the Festool driver bits. These ones here have the wire detents as well. When you put that in there and drop it in, it's not coming out for its life. So this is made for really getting in tight onto the back of a cabinet. But we're going to go ahead and drill anyway with this. You can see how you could get very close to the side of a cabinet. So with the Centrotec chuck, of course, we can go ahead and put that on, use the, in this case here, the BHS 65 bit extender, pop that all the way in, whoops, pop that all the way in. Then we can put our little Phillips bit in there, and that's really in there strong, almost too strong. And then we'll grab everybody's favorite demo screw, a drywall screw. Pop the, actually I'm going to put this in slow, I don't want to go through the wood. And then we'll just, well, that's not a good hole. Actually, I didn't give myself a good hole to use as a pilot for this, so we'll just do it here. Good thing I stopped, or it would have kept on going and split my wood. The driver is really easy to use. That I didn't have it set for any. I had it set at around 10, which on really soft wood like this, it's going to have no problem going through. Of course, you can reverse and pull those back out. And it is magnetic, so that helps. And then when you're up there on the ladder, you can always stick a few extras on here because that's also magnetic. For the depth set chuck, what we're going to do is we're going to set this to be with the Phillips head, so that we can just use these simple drywall screws that I have loitering around. Slide that in. This just turns very easily. It's just a bit guard to keep your hand away from it. Now I'm going to go ahead and set this to be easier when it's actually on the drill. I'm going to set this to be fairly proud. This one's going to stop very early. I have it at almost the limit. So now I have it set to speed 1. You don't want to be really driving at speed 2. Well, you can, I guess. Now, if you watch this, you're going to see how it's going to screw in. I'm going to go relatively slow, and then you're going to see it disengage. Now, there's a bit of a spring action. That's only because of the way that the the clutch plates aren't engaged yet. And then, see, I'm turning it right now, and the screw itself is not turning. Let me do something to make that a little bit more obvious. Okay, I've added a piece of blue tape to this screw. The reason is I want you to be able to see that it's not going to turn initially. Okay, so let me get a good spot here. It's not turning at all. Remember, there's that spring action. So once I press enough, that's when the clutch plates are going to grab, and then it's going to start turning. Now the clutch stopped. The drill was still spinning, but the clutch stopped, and of course it went in a little crooked because of the way I was holding this. That's the height that I set this at, was at a very high. Now there is no gauge on here to tell you how high it's going to be. You just got to try it out on a few pieces until you get the right height, and then after that you're going to be set to go. It's going to be repeatable. So now that I've set it at a pretty high height, now I'm going to go ahead and try dropping this in a little bit further. I won't put a flag on this one here. You're just going to have to watch. So again, it's not turning. As soon as I press, now it's grabbing and turning, and I'm not hanging on. It wasn't turning anymore down here because the clutch had let go. And that's how far we've got that one sunk. Still proud. So we can go a little bit further. Grabbing another one here. That one there is almost totally flush. Actually, I'd say it is totally flush, except I was going at it a little crooked. This one here would actually be perfect if you were doing drywall. You don't want to actually go through the paper with drywall. And you can go ahead and go through Countersink, and it'll go further. Now, again, remember what I mentioned. This one here is currently at the limit for the depth. It's not turning. This is turning inside, but the clutch is not engaged because it's beyond the depth. So that's just sitting there. So how do I put it in reverse and take this back out? I can put this in and go to turn it. Nothing's happening. That's where this comes in. If you turn it towards, it's got an arrow indicator on it, turn it towards that side. Now the clutch is engaged. And it comes back out. I haven't had to change the depth in order to do that, and I didn't have to change the chuck out for something else. So it's a really useful chuck. This one here, because it's kind of a complex chuck on the inside, is a little bit on the pricey side. But if you're going to be driving screws all day and you want those things to be dead flush, this thing is golden for it. And also, I mean, if you're in a pinch, if you're doing a lot of on-site work for different people, it'd be nice to have as a small screw gun for patching some drywall without putting it right through the paper like I am known to do. I do want to talk about one other thing that I've done, and it is posted on my blog. I'll give you yet another call out to parts of my blog for this. What it is that it is a little bit annoying that you can't get, and the Canadians are all going to chime in on this, you can't get a Robertson's drive bit. So this is a Robertson's drive bit. It's from McFeely's. It's okay quality. It could be better. Anyway, I have one of these, but I've made modifications to some. So this is an extra one that I got in one of my kits. It's the same one, but what I've done is I've hollowed out a detent that matches up with the one that Festool requires for its Centrotec chuck. Now, I've made a video of making one of those, and I'm going to post that separately so you can see. It took me less than 5 minutes to do it while explaining it and pointing things out. So it's very fast to do. So it's handy. Whoops! It's handy that I have this for the Robertson's number 2. I also have it for number 1. One of the more handy ones I have. Now you might say, well, you can always use these in the bit extenders. That's true, but that gets to be a little unwieldy when you're using the Craig number 2 Robertson drive. So I applied that also to my Craig. So when I use the pocket hole screws, I get to drive them with this. Much, much nicer. And what I did the video on earlier was I have a small 1/4 inch socket drive that had a ball detent on it, but didn't have one for the Centrotec. So I went ahead and I cut it for the Centrotec. This is the one the video is on. So now I can put that in using my drill driver, and I could easily drive some of my smaller sockets, which is very, very nice to have. Okay, so that'll be a separate video, so this one doesn't drag on. Thank you for watching.